Welcome to the Generation Elevation podcast, a conscious, connected platform for those who are ready to manifest their dream life. I'm your host, Elise Riley, a former PT, now motivational speaker, igniting empowerment and transformation all across the globe. Here at Generation Elevation, we are committed to bringing you the most inspiring guests who will share their stories, wisdom, and advice to help you progress closer to living a life of your own terms. Welcome back to another episode of Generation Elevation. Today's guest has a background in environmental science, law, and politics, and is now a breathwork facilitator, transformational coach, educator, and sacred activist. I'm so excited to get him on my podcast today and share him with you all, as last week he actually took me through a breathwork one-on-one session, and I'm really keen to share my experience that I had with Scott. So with that said, I'd like to introduce today my beautiful friend and teacher, Scott Wallace. You.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up?
How are you today, Scott?
I'm fucking fantastic.
Yeah. You can swear as well, so just like you can be yourself.
Thanks.
Be yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Good. I love it.
I'm doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Really grateful we're alive. We have another day here on planet Earth. Like, how beautiful. Another opportunity to learn, to grow, to explore, to be. So I'm blessed.
Yeah. Before we started recording, so Scott lives in this place called Palm Beach on the Gold Coast, and his breathwork space is like Palm Beach Portal. I was like, podcast at the Palm Beach Portal. Like, that's what's going down today.
Yeah. It's been the last few months when clients have been rocking up, I've just found myself saying welcome to the Palm Beach portal of expanded consciousness and cosmic shit fuckery. This is what goes down in this space. Yes. So yeah, welcome Elise, and great to have you back here in the space.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we'll be delving into today, a little bit about my experience with you. So I actually know Scott through just like some networking events, and then we've actually done a few coaching containers together, and I have never actually experienced your magic before. However, like whenever I was around you, we'd always have a really great vibe, get along really well, have a good joke, and you actually go to the same gym as myself. So the other day, guys, we were on the cross trainer together, and we just like hit this vibration, both of us. Like, you know, when you hang around someone that is just so high vibe, and then you feel high vibe, and then you just have this most amazing, exciting, enthusiastic conversation. Like, that was us on the cross trainer. We're like, we need to film this and share it with everyone, because we were just on this level together, talking about our new year, talking about our goals for 2023. And it's like, you really are the product of your environment. You attract who you are, and it's super cool to be in your space as well, because you're doing some epic stuff and really stepping into your power, especially like from what you told me, which we will go into in this episode as well. So to have you in my space and in my energy, it's like, oh, this is a reflection of me too. So like, if you can do that, then so can I, and vice versa. So it's a really powerful, I guess, powerful person to know and powerful energy to be in. Like, you really are the people that you hang around, and you're a very awesome reflection of that for me. So thank you.
Yeah. That's right, at the gym a few weeks ago, and we dropped in deep quick, and you feel that energy, you feel that excitement, you feel the like, oh, there's so much to talk about, there's so much to celebrate and share. And I remember I'd left all of my belongings on the treadmill, and this woman's over there, and she's looking like, who is here, whose stuff is this? And I thought, I better get back to my workout at least, so I'll go finish my workout. And I went over, and I'm like, no, I don't want to run right now. I want to stay in that flow with you. I want to follow that feeling of that thread of alignment. I wanted to come back. And so it turned out to be an extra half an hour with you chatting in the gym and really exploring what's happening in our reality, what's happening in our world. And when we find ourselves in these beautiful flows, it's that, for me, it feels like the energy of co-creation, the energy of co-elevation, and being able to co-elevate together. That's what it's about.
100%. And even like when we were talking and sharing this vibe together, I was like, Scott, I would really love to have you on my podcast. And when we do this, I want to be able to speak in an absolute integrity about your work that you do and how it impacts and helps people. And so if you feel energetically called, I'd like to do one of your breathworks and experience that for myself. So when I do speak about it today, which I will, it is coming from the heart. And so you said yes, we did the experience, and now here we are.
For sure, it's a yes, baby. It's not often that I do many exchanges with my work, and it just needs to feel in alignment, needs to feel like it's a fuck yes, So
100%.
And thank you for the opportunity and the invite to be a part of this podcast and to connect with your community that's growing, that's expanding, that's here to learn, that's here to empower themselves, to step into having the conversations that are maybe unfortunately not so common for people within our culture. And I'm really here to contribute to shifting the cultural paradigm around this work, around breath work, around spirituality, around personal development, and here to shift the culture around really creating some impact and change on this beautiful earth community.
Yes. Oh, what a start. So a lot of my listeners may not really know who you are, especially if like they might have seen a few stories on my Instagram and stuff, especially of the other week when I did come and do your breath work. So you have a background in environmental science, and now you're doing this healing work and sacred healing. Was it?
Sacred activism.
Sacred activism.
I just came up with that like 10 minutes ago. I was like, that sounds cool. I feel like this is what I'm doing.
Okay, well, we definitely need to definitely go into that.
Yeah.
Before we started, I was like, Scott, how do I introduce you? And he's like, you mean my human labels? I was like, yes. So sacred activism, guys. And I'm going to ask you in a sec what that is all about. So I guess in brief, before you explain what that is, tell us like a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? Who is Scott?
Yes. Right? Scott Wallace, this human, this vessel, this body that I'm in, this awareness, this consciousness. So let's actually just start by taking a few deep breaths. So if anyone who's listening, if it's safe for you to do so and it's safe, feel free to just to close down your eyes if that feels good for you. And we're going to take a couple nice deep breaths in through the nose and letting it all out with a sigh or a sound. Let's do two more fully in. Fully in. Two more breaths. Let's do 5. Inhaling. One more deep breath fully in. And letting it all go. So, of those 5 breaths, 3 of those breaths actually come from the oceans in terms of the oxygen. So our oceans provide the majority of oxygen on this planet. Most of the oxygen in this planet comes from phytoplankton in the ocean. So our existence is dependent on these little plants cruising around in the ocean, photosynthesizing, producing oxygen for us. The rest of the oxygen comes from all the big, beautiful, luscious trees and forests that we see. So people wouldn't be tuning into this podcast. We wouldn't be existing on this planet without oxygen. And where is this oxygen coming from? It's being provided to us in this beautiful harmony from other forms of life on this planet, other beings on this earth community, other expressions of the divine, God, source energy, whatever your word is for this higher power of creation, or whatever it is in your language, in your words. So we can be grateful that we are here, alive on this planet, and with an opportunity to relate, an opportunity to feel the sun on our skin, opportunity to feel the air, the breeze on our skin. And this just brings me into a deep respect and reverence for this whole earth community and for this planet. So growing up for me, I spent a lot of time outside. I grew up at the time doing a lot of fishing and hunting and gathering, and my culture and the way I relate with animals and nature has shifted over the years, and been very passionate about vegan and animal rights activism. But my upbringing was, lots of time around the coast, lots of time in nature, and really getting curious, allowing that inner curiosity to guide, playing out in the forest and at the coast, and really just connecting with this earth community. So I wanted to study marine biology. I loved the ocean. At the same time as I loved the ocean, I was also fishing, killing marine life, and paying other people to kill marine life. So it was a big wake-up call to explore my culture, explore my relationship with animals and nature. But it really started to activate in me this interest to study marine biology, to study environmental science. So when I moved over to the Gold Coast from Perth, I studied at Griffith University and dropped in for a Bachelor of Science, majored in marine biology. Went on to do my honors in marine ecology. So I've got a lot of experience in and around the ocean and around nature. I'm also a scuba instructor, and I've just spent a lot of time immersed in the natural environment. And this is my roots. It's, being really passionate about environmental activism, conservation, and sustainability. And what I come to realize is, if we look at all of the challenges that we're facing on this planet, be it social justice issues, environmental issues, these are all the symptoms of, they're not the root cause of the problems. These are the symptoms. So why are we experiencing ecological destruction and degradation? Why are we killing 70 billion animals a year on land? Why are we A, B, C, D? Why are there all these issues with racism and discrimination? Well, I believe it comes down to a lot of fear, a lot of disconnect, and a lot of misunderstanding. So one of the threads that got me into the personal development space was really to support people to reconnect back to their hearts, back to their truth, back to a non-violent, loving, respectful way of showing up in the world for themselves, around other people. And then through that process of reconnection, through realizing that I am you and you are me and we are one collective energy, right? Through realizing that, then we can shift the culture on this planet. We can start showing up in a way where the human's mode of existence actually benefits and supports the flourishing of the collective earth community. So I realized to have the effect and the change that I want to see in the world, humans have been the problem for a lot of these things, which means humans can be the solution when we take responsibility and bring it back into owning our actions, owning our choices and our decisions. And, within that personal empowerment space, it's so important that we own our decisions, we own our emotions, we own our feelings, and really accept what is. So that's the sort of shorter path from the science, environmentalism into this work. I'm here to help people reconnect, to realign back to their truth, back to their hearts, knowing that, I trust humanity deeply, Elise. I trust humanity deeply beneath the masks, beneath the layers, beneath the disconnect and the fear and the desire for power to exert control over others. People are good. People are beautiful beings. So Yeah, that's one part of the thread.
Oh, whoa. That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And what do you think it is that keeps people in that fear? Like, what is that? Why do we stay stuck in that fear? Why is it so terrifying for people to open their hearts, to lead a life from their heart rather than coming from their head all the time?
Yeah, such a good question. Wow. So, I used to not like this polarity between, well, everything is love or fear. I used to resist that. I used to be like, no, well, there's middle ground and there's gray areas. Now I believe that it's either love or fear. Like the origins of our energy and our expression, is it coming from a place of love or a place of fear? So where does that fear come from? Well, it's a fear of not wanting to be, firstly, a fear of dying, right? And just being, it's a survival level that we avoid pain. We want to focus on pleasure. We want to feel safe. We want to feel good. We want to feel comfortable. And when it comes into looking within to create change, when it comes to starting to show up differently in the world, when it comes to assessing our habits, our behaviors, our choices, it can be met with a lot of resistance because people may not necessarily want to change, because the way the ego operates, it says, okay, there's a change or a new circumstance or a new situation, and that means that there's threats that I'm unaware of. And if there's threats I'm unaware of, then there's a danger potentially, and then I could die. That's the ego's process. It goes something new or something changing, but you're going to die. And it's a very quick process that we feel. But this is, the ego's intention is to keep us safe, to keep us protected. And I think...
What was that moment for you when you fully let go of that fear and then just was like, that you allowed yourself to be vulnerable and have the courage to let that go in order to step more into love? Like, what was that moment for you?
It's literally like an everyday thing. And who says I've let go of it?
Yeah.
The importance of continuing to lean into life, lean into doing the deep inner work, continuing to take aligned action, and to not allow that fear to take control over your life is super powerful. Fear serves a very important purpose in terms of it's wanting to keep us safe, right? But that doesn't mean we're going to live an expansive life in alignment with our greatest potential if we're allowing fear to dictate and steer our actions. So it's a daily thing of leaning into that fear and choosing love over fear. And I know what it's like to live in contraction. I know what the feeling is like to be in resistance within my body, to be doing something or spending my time, money, or energy in a way that doesn't actually serve me. Now that I'm more connected to my body, I understand my thoughts. I'm able to observe my thoughts, and I'm allowing myself to be guided by my higher self and my intuition. It becomes clearer to know what's coming from fear and what's coming from a place of love. Love is expansive, right? Love is like, The fear is a contraction. It's a pulling within. It's a making smaller. It's a withdrawal from a lot of things. So it's not necessarily one particular moment, but a daily thing.
I guess I'm really curious to know, I think, especially for the people listening, to know you better. Like, how does one go from living life continuously being disconnected from their body, from not being aware of their thoughts, from feeling that fear consistently, that anxiety? There's so many people that I know are struggling with this anxiety every single day. And it's like, well, how does one go from experiencing that in a daily basis to then going into, okay, I'm going to start showing up for myself. I'm going to lean in. Like, what was that turning point for you?
This is such a great question. I wouldn't say it's a particular point, but it's like at different times in my life, it's been a bigger lean in, bigger resistance to lean through, or, the amplitude of fear is so fucking huge that it's like, either lean into that and to create the freedom and to live an empowered life, or not. Either way, there's consequences. So there's consequences for inaction. Either way, whatever you choose to do, there's consequences.
100%.
Either way, whatever you do. So how do we make our choices to be the most beneficial for our well-being, for our health? So I don't have a specific answer for that.
I guess with my clients, what I usually would call this moment or turning point is like the feathers, bricks, and the buses.
Yeah.
So like I want to know like what was your bus? Like what was that? All right, I need to change or I need to choose. Right?
There's a couple. So one of the biggest buses, and this is the first thing that's coming up for me, is many, many years ago, I was in a relationship where there was domestic violence, there was abuse, and it's something that I tolerated for a really long time. And I understand how my way of being contributed to inflaming things, but at the end of the day, it's another human being in a deep trauma response, struggling with a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, that I stayed in a relationship for a lot longer than would have served me, right? That was a big bus. That was a big bus to realize, like, why the fuck am I still living this same cycle? Why am I tolerating different forms of abuse when I don't need to feel like this? I'm worthy of respect. I deserve to be treated kindly. And that was a big turning point in my energy, in my trajectory towards this place of self-love, this place of really realizing what I'm worthy of, and to know that allowing that as part of my experience to just guide me back towards what I want in my life, guide me towards what I'm wanting, how I'm wanting to be and show up in the world. So it's not about it's not about wronging another human being, but every behavior and choice has a consequence, right? So that was an experience where, you know, this was someone who was going to be my one. This was the love of my life, the family, the dialed together, like really the OG soulmates, you know. And that was fucking hard. That was so hard to go through that separation. And through that, it's helped me come into greater alignment with who I am. So I say that's a big bus moment. And for those who don't know, the analogy is the feather, the brick, or the bus. The universe gives you these little nudges, these little, firstly, it gives you the feather and it goes, okay, I'm just going to bring your attention to something. And it's going to tickle you on the nose with this feather and say, hey, there's this thing here. Are you going to pay attention? And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If you don't pay attention, the universe brings you a brick and goes, poof,
or smacks you on the head.
Smacks you in the face and goes, you paying attention now?
But then you forget because you had concussion. So
and we go, oh, fuck, that was a brick.
And then you're like, wait, what happened?
Then the universe brings you a motherfucking bus.
Oof.
Oh, boom. And then it's like, shit, that was a fucking bus. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So listen to the feather, listen to the brick. And the more I find, the more that you don't honor those whispers, the more that you don't lean into your growth and meeting your edges and creating change in your life, the universe is going to continue to give you these reminders of, hey, what's going on? This is something you can change. This is something you can step into.
All for your greatest and highest evolution though, right? Like,
100%.
I think it's really important to look back on when you connect the dots or look back in hindsight, those moments of buses or bricks or even those feathers. Like when we look back, we can realize that, actually, like they happened for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And I was chatting to a client this morning about the sort of broader context and the framing for stepping into this journey of healing, growth, personal development, stepping into our power, stepping into our truth, and just relating with this interesting world, is to take that higher perspective. And if someone in your reality is showing up in a really, say, nasty way, that's how we feel, oh, someone's being nasty or rude or whatever. Negative energy. Then, you get to look after yourself and you get to choose to not be around that person. But what's beneath the surface for that other person that's showing up in a way that's they're wanting to harm or wanting to bring someone down, or it's their own fear, it's their own pain, it's their own projection. So to have that compassion for this other human being with how they're showing up in the world, to not make their comment or their action to mean something about you, is super important. Because what do? Someone says something nasty or negative and we go, oh, I'm unworthy, I'm deserving, I'm unlovable, oh, she doesn't want to date me because A, B, C, D, E, and we come up with all these fucking excuses as to why we're not worthy of receiving love. And so it's like to just allow and accept and acknowledge what is happening in the external world in terms of the things you can't control, but your response to that is where your power lies. Or your reaction to that is going to determine how you work with that. So what I share with my client is to allow all what you experience in your life to just be feedback and data that can help you come into greater alignment with what's real for you, that can help you come back into your heart. And the way I see emotions are just, a little signal from our higher self that's there to get our attention and say, hey, you're feeling this grief right now. We feel that emotion a lot of the time, unless we're really numbing it out. We feel that emotion, which creates the awareness, and then we can delve into that to explore that and to allow this energy, which is all the emotion is, to pass in whatever way it needs to be processed.
I love that. I actually just recently did a post on emotions being energy in motion. So we're in
great.
the ether.
It is.
Together.
And this is one thing that really so powerful about breath work and modalities that are somatic and modalities that are able to tap into altered states of consciousness. And this is what the breath work that I do is supporting people through their breath to access altered states of consciousness, to quieten the logical, rational thinking, chaotic mind, and to go into the unconscious mind, to tap into the body and to connect with the feelings and the energy in the body that are there, that are present and ready to be released. So, we've all experienced things in life that have potentially led to us having trauma, that have led to us feeling overwhelmed, super stressed, like just to our maximum capacity of our nervous system. And the mind can process these things. We can talk about it all day and come to a point where, oh yeah, this has happened and I feel that way. Yeah, okay, I'm ready to move on. But the body doesn't forget. The body doesn't forget. So until that energy has been liberated from the body, until we've shifted that energy from the vessel, that energy is still going to have an impact on how we show up with our patterns, with our behaviors, with our habits. And just going to that thread of the fear and wanting to talk about the ego for a second here, is the ego's intention is to what? Protect us, right? To keep us safe, to protect us. So it doesn't want us to feel, doesn't want us to lean into the new parts of our experience, doesn't want us to go back into our timeline to heal trauma, to release what needs to be released, because it's like, I don't want to feel the things. Okay. Now, some of the science with breath work is when you slow down your brain waves, you create more coherence with your heart and your brain. Allows you to access altered states of consciousness. It also slows down activity in a part of the brain called the default mode network. Okay. So obviously you've heard of this, you're nodding maybe. Now the default mode network, it's a part of your brain that it's connected to your personality, to your identity, and to your ego. Now, when activity slows down in your brain, activity in the default mode network slows down, and this correlates to a dissolution of the ego. It starts opening up the space for those defense mechanisms to actually take a sideline, which creates that open channel for the truth of your truth to surface, which creates the opportunity for there to be reprogramming, rewiring, rewriting of stories to see things from a higher perspective without the security guard or the bouncer in the front of who's our ego being like, nah, not going to allow this in. So we move that to the side to allow more things to flow in and out.
Wow. I love that you went into a little bit of the science behind breathwork, because that's literally was going to be the next question I ask you is like, let's speak into my experience. So I've done multiple breathwork journeys, short, long, like, so when I mean short, it's like 5 minutes versus then an hour. Like probably that's the longest one. How long did we do it together?
I think about 50 minutes. Yeah, close to an hour.
Yeah, so I've done like an hour, 50 minutes with yourself. So I've done a couple of ones like that and then some half an hour ones, and every single time my experience is always different. Like I've had experiences where I felt like I've actually fell through the floor like a roller coaster or like witnessed portals. And this is my experience, obviously. So believe what you will. However, speaking from personal experience, like portals between life and death, I've experienced past lives and witnessing like myself go through these lives and the gifts that I've attained, and also potentially traumas and behaviors and patterns that I've attained and brought with me in this reincarnation. And with yourself, I experienced, oh my gosh, I called it like this energetic slug thing, like come out of my body. And then I was hysterically laughing. It was the funniest thing. Like I just felt like cramping. Obviously that is a common thing that people experience. However, for me, I get really painful cramps in my calves. And so with Scott, I had these huge cramps in my calves, like literally, kid you not, the next week I had DOMS, like delayed onset muscle soreness in my calves for like the week, because it felt like I'd done like 100 sets of calf raises or something. And for me, so that obviously was just like a lot of energy stored in my lower body, and to release that, it was so painful. And it was this moment where I was like, holy shit, this is so painful. And then my body just did like this jig thing, and it felt like this slug, this black slug, just come out of my stomach or my solar plexus energy center, right? And as soon as that release, that energy left my body, I literally just could not stop laughing for at least like 3 minutes of just hysterically laughing, like what just happened? And so I guess I'd love to like hear your perspective on those moments for people, and the science behind what is actually going on with people, and when they actually experience something, like what was going on with me when I was hysterically laughing and felt like a slug come out of my body. Like, what is that? Tell me more.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've experienced so many wild things, you know, in my own breathwork journeys, and to also facilitate. Like I did some of the calculations the other day, and last year I'd facilitated close to 500 hours of coaching and breath work for people.
Wow, that's insane.
Which was
that's
sick.
Crazy.
I was like, yeah, man, so good. You know, to be of service for my clients, for our community, and to get those experiences in my reality. It's just so beautiful. So I've seen some wild fucking shit. And I'll chat a bit about the body-mind system and start from there. So as I said before, the body doesn't forget, but the mind can process things. So, you know, you're saying it felt like you've done like 100 calf raises, right? Now, how many calf raises do you think you've done in your life actually?
I mean, I don't barely train calves.
Like
so
thousands.
Yeah, but still a lot. Yeah.
Loads, right?
Yeah.
Think about all the workouts you've done. Think about the movement in your body, how much, you know, you've been training. Think about all the stressful experiences, the anxiety, the heartbreak, the grief, the sadness, all of this energy in your system. Now, until it gets processed and released, it just stays there in our unconscious mind and in the body. So the breathwork process allows people to connect with their body-mind system, to shift and liberate any stagnant energy, anything that's been built up in the body-mind system. So you could have been releasing any form of energy, any form of emotion through your legs. What happens is it's a process. It's called somatization. So when we have certain feelings and emotions, they can be expressed as physical symptoms in our body. And we go to the doctor and say, oh, I've got like a a pain here in my leg, or pain here in my neck, and maybe it's got nothing to do with a physical injury, but it's energy, it's emotions, it's a block. So in our body-mind system, we have different energy centers, our chakra system, our meridian system. We have, our fascia, which is this big, beautiful matrix and web in our body that holds our blood vessels, our muscles. And I learned the other day that it's hypothesized that this fascia matrix in our system actually correlates to the meridian system within the Chinese medicine and the acupuncture points. So there's so many ways that we're very energetical beings, and there's not always a direct link between what we feel and what we release and a particular experience in our life. So it could be the build-up of lots of things, or it could have been a certain past experience that was coming through the legs, or this little wild black slug of yours that was coming out. It can be connected to so much. Now, because our body-mind system is this one very sensitive, in tune, powerful system that has this innate intelligence, the body knows how to release, how to process, how to let go of things, but the conscious mind gets in the way and sort of prevents us from feeling and really dropping into the body. And the way our energy systems are linked up, they're connected to different organs, connected to different emotions. So what we can find is throughout the breathwork journey is if there's like, for example, the throat, right? This is where the throat chakra is, this energy center of expression, of communication, of speaking our truth, of being heard in the world, expressing our needs, our desires. So if someone's feeling like tension in the throat, then to be able to release that through tapping, through toning, through touch, or just having a fucking scream into a pillow liberates that energy so you can feel differently. And because there's so many different combinations and the system is so connected, it's really important that we get into the body, we move, we express how we want to express ourselves, and that we create space for the new and let go of the old so we can step into our light, step into our truth, to anchor into our vessel the energies, the codes, the wisdom, the insight that we are being gifted through to bring to this planet. So the more that we can clear out our vessel to maintain a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and be receptive to what's coming through for us, the more alignment we can create with our soul's mission, with our soul's journey. So for me, breathwork is a really powerful way to clear out the vessel. And as my client said this morning, he's like, bro, his first breathwork journey, like it was wild. It was wild, it was super powerful. And he said, I just feel like I've done a fucking huge energetical shit all over your floor in this room. And it's really shifting so much. So I don't know what that slug of yours could be. It could be density, fear, grief, sadness, especially from the belly. The belly, it's like unprocessed. What feelings and emotions hadn't you processed?
I don't know. I just know the next day.
As a hypothetical question.
Yeah,
but maybe
I know.
You know.
The next day, I had so much energy and I wasn't feeling like a lethargy, and I also had a lot on for the next day. So I was like, go, go, go. So for me to be in that flow and being so productive and remain high vibe was really fun. And I just know like that feeling of it, like leaving my body, I just could not stop laughing. Like, holy moly. It was like, oh my gosh, that was wild. So for me, like, I'm not necessarily too sure. However, it was like, just felt freeing. And I know that like when I facilitate breath work, like as a modality for my clients, it's very much, they have a similar reaction whereby they come in and they get exactly what they need, and they feel, I had this realization, and they feel this freedom, they feel lighter. And I'm curious to know, what has been your like wildest breathwork experience? Like what has been that one thing for you, one journey for you where you're like,
so many.
whoa. What's like the first thing that comes to mind?
The first things that come to mind is last year or this year? Yeah, it's a blur, hey? The Awaken facilitator training that I was telling you about. So I've been learning from dream mentors of mine, Lucas Mack and Hella Weston, and they are some of the co-founders of Awaken. And as part of our facilitator training, it was 9 months, and I'm just coming towards the end of it now. And we were dropping in for breathwork journeys every fortnight. So last year I did around 25 full hour breathwork journeys, right, as part of like a 3-hour session. And so I was doing breathwork really frequently, really often. So every breathwork journey is different and it's never going to be the same, but you sort of become familiar with what you could expect in terms of the process. Now, some of the things that come to mind is in breathwork journeys, there was one maybe 3 months ago. I think I did this breathwork journey in my bed. Yeah. I started getting flashbacks of when I was a little boy, and breathwork allows you to open up your timelines. It allows you to bridge between dimensions. The breath anchors in this element of ether and brings it into the 3D, brings it into your vessel. So we're bringing in this invisible force and moving energy through our system, and we're opening up our subconscious mind, and we're opening up to release what needs to be released. So my mind went back to when I was a young boy, and I used to get asthma attacks. I used to have like hectic asthma attacks where I would need to go and I used to take medication like almost every day. I used to get super stressed and I would just have these asthma attacks. It could be from running. It could be from fucking cold air. It could be from laughing. Like you name it, all the fucking cool shit in life, I could just get an asthma attack over. So I had to be super cautious about these triggers, right? You know, exercise, cold air, being around pollen, like, oh, so can't go out into nature now because there's a fucking bottle brush there, which means I might get asthma, you know? So I went back into that time and I saw the little younger Scotty who was going through an asthma attack, and I had all these flashbacks of all these times I had asthma attacks, and my whole body started to tense up, and I started to feel like I was choking. I couldn't breathe. My neck tightened up. It was like I was like gasping, right? And I saw all those times I've had asthma attacks, and what I realized was the fear of fucking dying that I had felt all those times when I couldn't breathe was now starting to be released from my system. All those times where I was so afraid, I felt so scared, and the energy from those experiences just started to come out of my body. Started to come out. And that was so liberating after. I cried so much after that. I was so emotional, and I was like, man, little Scotty did so well to deal with all these times he was struggling to breathe, and really liberating, really powerful. So that was one experience. Some other experiences, I remember towards the end of a breathwork journey, whether we were guided to bring in and to bring our ancestors and any guides and spirit animals and animal guides into the space. I can't remember, but it's something that I'm regularly doing. At this point, I remember looking around and I could see all these guides and ancestors around me. None of them were humans. They were all like lions. They were all wolves. They were all these animals that for me, I associate them with courage, with strength, with protection, but also they can be gentle and soft and loving. It's like this polarity, right? We have the power within us to be violent. We have the power to harm. We have the power to be abusive. We also have the power to be loving and kind and respectful. And our opportunity as human beings is to harness our consciousness to choose how we show up, to choose how we relate. And So at that time, I remember looking around and there's all these animals and they're there and they're like, I can't remember the exact message, but they were like, we're here for you and we're so glad that you are here for us. There was like this energetical exchange and I was just really emotional looking at these animals, and it's like, these are my family. Like this, I felt this deep connection with these creatures, and before I knew it, I started to feel like this hand on my throat, right? And I can't remember if this was just before these guides came through, but I felt this hand on my throat, and it was the energy of someone who's trying to kill me.
Wow.
Right. And as I looked, there was it's like a farmer, like another human who was trying to kill me. And I wasn't a human anymore. I was an animal. I was an animal in a slaughterhouse. Or I was an animal on a farm or somewhere that was being killed by a human being. Right.
Wow.
And I've had a number of these experiences where over the last year and a half, I've had breathwork experiences and experiences when I used to smoke cannabis, when I would become the animals that I had killed in my past.
Wow.
So I've seen myself as an octopus in the ocean, just hiding in my rock, trying to be safe. And all of a sudden someone comes at me to try and kill me and take me out of my home. And that person is me. So I'm looking at Scott trying to kill myself. I was like, this is so intense.
That is full on.
So imagine being, these animals that humans are killing and harming and abusing. It really helps us connect with the reality of these other beings. And so those are some really powerful experiences.
Yeah, wow.
Very, just interesting ones. And a lot of releases, a lot of emotions, some very multi-dimensional stuff, and the list goes on. But those are the top two that just came out when you mentioned that.
Thank you for sharing. That is so powerful. And if you have not tried breathwork, I highly would recommend. And on that as well, where can my listeners find you if they want to do some sessions with you or learn more about who you are and what you do?
Beautiful. So my practice is on the Gold Coast in Palm Beach, and I also offer all of my offerings with coaching, hypno, breathwork can be done online. So either in person, either at a space where they have. I do run events as well, and I'm going to be launching some events, WA for next month. Now Melbourne. Yep. Now that I've booked a ticket to go to see Joe Dispenza and book my flights, I'll run an event in Melbourne. But Instagram or Facebook is the best place to connect. So either Scott Wallace or at Earth Centered, so EARTHCENTRED, and just to flick me a DM and to connect. That's the best place. And the once we connect, it'll just be a matter of jumping on a call, having a conversation, and just seeing where people are at in their life, what's happening in their reality, what may be getting in the way of what they're wanting to create and how they want to feel, and if I have anything that's in alignment with them, courses, programs, sessions. So I'm really here to support people on their journey of doing the deep inner work, of the healing, of stepping into their truth, of taking up space, and just to amplify their fucking impact in this world. Because a part of my vision that's coming through now is I'm here to contribute to elevating the collective consciousness, to shift humanity's mode of existence, to support the flourishing of the Earth community, but specifically to empower and activate the leaders of the new Earth that are coming through now, starting to come through these awakenings, are wanting to learn how to reclaim their power, how to cultivate that inner confidence to go and do what they want to do. And that just really comes down to being willful, because it's just about taking that action. And to do that deep inner work so we can facilitate for other people. I'm here for global change, and we need a whole team to be able to do this, right?
Yes, 100%. And I love, as you were saying that, you can hear the birds and nature in the background. It's all going on down here at the Palm Beach portal. It's great.
It is.
So, Scott, before we finish up, there's two things. At the end, I would love for you to say a few words, even take people through a mini breath.
Yeah, beautiful.
And first of all, before we do that and before we close today, I would love for you to channel in, or whether that be like through with your guides, your inner being, or just the first thing that comes to mind, but one thing that you think the listeners really need to hear today, and it doesn't have to resonate with what we've spoken about, but that Beautiful. First thing for you.
Beautiful. We're going to go into that with breath first.
Okay.
And then go into that. Yeah,
Perfect.
Beautiful. Thank you everyone firstly who's tuned into this. You know, the power of energy, to be able to feel something in our body, to be able to activate something in our minds through sound, through a voice, through a transmission is so beautiful, so powerful. So I'm going to run through just a quick little guided practice. So if you are listening, and if it's safe for you to be seated and with your eyes closed, fantastic. If you are listening to this while you're driving or doing something else, I don't recommend doing the breathwork practice. So you can come back and listen to this. But for those who are ready to drop in a little bit, this is just an opportunity to slow down. So if it feels good for you, you can close down your eyes. And we're just going to start delving into our inner world a little bit. So we're just going to start with some breath awareness. So noticing in this moment, as you slow down, as you relax your shoulders, as you start softening your body, just inviting you to notice, where are you breathing from in this moment? Is your breath short and fast? Are you breathing much at all? Is your breath deep and slow, coming through the belly? And no matter where you're breathing from in this moment, just taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Letting that all go. That's it. So breath awareness, this is the first powerful piece, is just noticing your breath. So as you continue to breathe, you can just listen to my voice and just inviting you to notice any sensations, any feelings that are coming through for you, any emotions. So we take over 20,000 breaths a day, and most of these breaths we're not aware of because it's our autonomic nervous system that is guiding our breathing. So the more that we can become aware of our breath, the more that we can become conscious of our breath, the more empowerment we can create for ourselves. The breath is something you can harness to shift the state of your nervous system. So if you notice your breath was really fast or short, or maybe you're not breathing much at all, that can be a sign that your sympathetic nervous system may be currently activated. Your sympathetic nervous system is connected to your fight and flight response. It's high energy. So this breath of bringing the breath in through the nose and out through the nose or the mouth really helps to slow down that energy, activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So restorative breaths in and out the nose are super powerful. What we are going to do soon though is to take some activating breaths in through the mouth. So for these activating breaths, we're going to breathe deeply and fully, bringing that breath in through the mouth, filling up our lungs and our belly, and just letting that breath drop away. So we don't need to force the breath out, but it's just taking a nice, big, deep, full breath in through the mouth and letting it go. We're going to take some connected breaths. So what's going to happen is we're not going to pause between the inhale and the exhale. It's going to be a beautiful, continuous breath, fully in, letting it go, fully in, letting it go, Okay. So we're going to do some of these activating breaths. I don't exactly know the number. It'll come through, but we'll drop in. So just getting yourself into a nice seated position, nice straight spine. And we're going to breathe in and out the mouth, no pause between the inhale and the exhale. We're going to just take one breath in through the nose before we get started. Letting it go. Okay, first breath fully in 3, 2, 1. 2, 3, 4. Keeping this breath going fully in, letting it go. Fully in and letting it go. Now's the time to go all in on your breath, fully in, letting it go. Feeling this energy coursing through your body as we activate, bringing this breath in. Now's the time just to lean into any resistance with the breath. I'm going to go for 10 more breaths. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3 more. On this last breath, I want you to breathe fully in. Now emptying all the air out of your lungs and coming into a breath hold. Coming into a breath hold. Nice straight spine, relaxing, knowing you're safe. And asking yourself the question, what does my inner guidance want me to know right now? What does my inner guidance want me to know right now? Opening up to receive any insights, any messages that may be here for you today in whatever shape and form they're coming through. Colors, shapes, symbols, memories, visions. Surrendering into that energy, holding your breath for as long as feels good for you. Knowing you are safe, you are guided, you are supported, you are protected. And when you are ready to breathe, you can bring that breath in through the nose and out the nose or mouth. So once you're ready to breathe, bringing that breath in through the nose and out through the nose, a nice restorative breath. And if you're holding your breath still, that's all good. Follow what feels right for you. And in this moment, just opening up to notice any sensations, any thoughts, any feelings that are coming through for you. Allowing the intelligence of your body-mind system to communicate with you. And allowing this insight from your inner guidance to come through. What was this message that came through for you from your higher self? Just continuing to breathe. Just noticing and allowing and feeling what's present for you. Not resisting, not denying, just allowing, acknowledging what is present. Becoming the awareness of your emotions, your sensations, your feelings. Just being curious about what came through for you. Just getting curious, exploring. And on the next exhale, I want you to just to make a nice sigh or a sound if that feels good for you. Doing a couple more of these. And now if it feels good for you, maybe just bring in a bit of movement to your wrists or your toes. And just tapping anywhere on your body if that feels good for you, on the throat, on the third eye point, on your heart space, your stomach. Bring in any touch to your body, stretching, anything that feels good for you. This is an opportunity to step into your power, into your truth, into your fullest expression. There's no need for judgment. And when you're ready, you can slowly open up your eyes. And as you open up your eyes, just inviting you to notice something in your external reality. What's something that you can see? Just coming back to the room or the space you are in, and to know that you are worthy, you are enough, you are deserving, that you are loved, you are lovable, that you have gifts, you have wisdom, you have knowledge that you've experienced that is coming through for you, and that by taking aligned action with what feels good or what feels in alignment for you, by following your passions, by continuing to follow those threads of alignment, by being curious about what's happening in your world, about leaning into those conversations that you're resisting with people, by saying yes and asking how later, to know that you are going to be able to create so much change in your life. You're going to be able to create so much change in this world, to elevate the collective consciousness, to reduce suffering, to support others, whatever your mission and your purpose is in this world, to know that the answers are already within you. There's no need to seek them externally. So to know that you can trust yourself, you can trust your intuition, you can trust your gut feelings, and to know that you got this, and you can celebrate yourself for whatever you've worked through in your life, whatever challenges have come your way. If you're listening to this, you are alive and you are here, and you've chosen yourself today and yesterday and the day before. And to feel this energy, this bliss, this gratitude, this love, this aliveness that is within you, this energy that connects you to the cosmos, connects you to the universe, this expression of source energy, God, whatever your word is, you are connected to this. Just taking a nice deep breath in and letting it all go. Any stress, any tension, any not enoughness that you've been holding on to. Now's the time to activate. Now's the time to speak up, to be seen, to go after your dreams, and to know that you got this, homies. You've got this. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Scott. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. That was awesome, and I'm sure that the listeners loved that so much, and I'm so excited to witness you this year and what you're going to achieve, and vice versa. And yeah, thank you for being a part of Generation Elevation. Thank you,
Elise. Really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for the invite. So great to connect with your community and to be able to share some truth, some perspectives, or whatever else has come through today. And I hope that people feel inspired, they feel activated, they feel empowered, maybe really triggered by some of the things we spoke about. Whatever it is, there's medicine in all of that. So big love, appreciate you, and let's go create the new earth one day at a time, one breath at a time. I'm here for co-elevation. Thank you for co-elevating with me and co-creating some magic today.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. You.
Thank you for being a part of the Generation Elevation community. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating, written review, share, and tag me on Instagram at elise.riley. Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, and keep rising.